It is reshaping the learning experience, enabling students and educators to continue with the learning process in vastly different learning conditions. It is expanding its academic programs and supporting initiatives to create a conducive learning environment. To address the growing complexities of modern problems, UPLB continues to break barriers across disciplines to produce cutting-edge innovations and solutions that serve the needs of various communities. It is taking on challenges in food security and sustainability and coordinating research efforts to direct the university's resources toward critical research areas, making sure that the university-generated knowledge can reach its intended stakeholders and be applied to real-life contexts. UPLB is dedicated to its commitment to contribute to public good and social welfare as it continues to work with the local government and the community to address their most pressing needs. Amidst its engagements, UPLB remains as one of the top regional and global universities and continues to be recognized in the country and across the world. As the national university, UPLB aims to be a steadfast partner in development as a producer of new approaches that minimize the cost and impacts of future shocks, and by honing leaders committed to knowledge creation, innovation and cutting-edge research, and public service. This is UPLB's roadmap to be an impactful institution in a constantly changing landscape. Responsive, innovative, future-proof. A center of excellence, a nurturing space for innovation, creativity, and academic freedom. This is the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. As a constituent university of the University of the Philippines system, UPLB is a leading national higher education and research institution in various.
Okay na? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Institute of Biological Sciences webinar entitled Artificial Intelligence in Biological Research and Instruction. Artificial intelligence, or AI, has gained prominence in the realm of academia, both in its great potential as well as its perceived perils in teaching, research, and student learning. So for today, our webinar topic is very timely, and I hope we can all learn and adapt to what AI can offer in our day-to-day work in the Institute. I am your host for this webinar, Philip Alviola, and let us now begin the program of our webinar. Kindly be reminded that we are also live on YouTube channel of the UPLB Institute of Biological Sciences. The Institute of Biological Sciences is celebrating its 41st anniversary celebration. On your screen is our list of week-long activities. This webinar is the first among our anniversary activities. For more information, kindly visit the UPLB Institute of Biological Sciences official Facebook page. But before we begin, we would like to inform you of our house rules. First, make sure that your audio is on mute and your video is turned off. Practice good webinar etiquette. And second, please use the chat box to send questions. We will accommodate them during the open forum later. To formally start the program, please welcome on your screen the Director of the Institute of Biological Sciences, Dr. Vachel Gay V. Palier.
So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the UPLB Institute of Biological Sciences webinar titled AI in Biological Research and Instruction. I am happy that in the Zoom we are represented not only people from IBS or UPLB, but we also have participants from various state, university, and colleges and higher education institutions nationwide. We have a wide range of participants. We have faculty members, research, and students here. And we are delighted to have with us our distinguished speaker, Professor Iris Isiptan. And thank you very much, ma'am. She will be introduced later on. So our topic is very relevant this morning, especially in higher education. And I'm pretty sure that we'll be able to pick up important lessons applicable to research and instruction. We know that artificial intelligence or AI has an important role in education that can revolutionize the way we learn and teach and conduct research. I know you have many questions regarding AI, such as how important AI is in higher education. What is the nature of AI in higher education, and how can we ensure that AI is used ethically and responsibly? So I know you're all excited to listen to our speaker this morning, so sit back, relax, and let us learn together. So welcome po sa inyong lahat at magandang umaga po.
Maraming salamat po, Director Polier. So we're now ready to proceed with the most awaited part of the program. So let me introduce to you our resource person. Professor Iris Tiel Isiptan is a full professor at the University of the Philippines, Manila. She's the concurrent chief of the UP Medical Informatics Unit and the UP Manila Telehealth Committee. She is also the director of the UP Manila Interactive Learning Center. Dr. Isiptan has received numerous awards, very significant awards, starting with the UP System Gawad Pangulo Award for Progressive Teaching and Learning in 2015. Also, the Metrobank Foundation Outstanding Filipinos for Teachers Award in 2021, and the Philippine College of Physicians Presidential Award for Social Media Advocacy. So without further ado, let's all welcome Dr. Iris Tiel Isiptan, our resource speaker. The virtual space is yours, Dr. Isiptan.
Good morning. Happy to be here. I would like to thank Dr. Philip Alviola for the kind invitation to discuss artificial intelligence in biology research and instruction. It has been decades since I took my pre-med course, BS Biology in UP Diliman, and I am honored to speak today on the occasion of the 41st anniversary of the UPLB Institute of Biological Sciences. Happy anniversary! I have no conflicts of interest to declare for this presentation. Do we need artificial intelligence for biology? Yes, and possibly for many reasons and applications. But I particularly like this reason. There is a need for AI to reintegrate biology because key biological systems and related information at all levels of biological organization are simply too complex for humans to understand with sufficient depth to elicit generalized, human-driven reintegration. Do you agree? Hasun et al. Are optimistic that AI-driven reintegration of biological disciplines will allow scientists to answer deep biological questions in ways that are impossible today. In their publication, Hasun et al. Gives 4 examples that cut across the scales of biological inquiry, such as spatial, temporal, and organizational. And these are arranged in order of increasing difficulty of implementation. Biological knowledge discovery and assembly, behavioral ecology, genes to phenotypes, and lastly, prediction, evolution, and control of infectious diseases. Hasun et al. Believe that AI tools to aid biological knowledge and discovery and assembly might be the easiest to implement. They envision a next-generation search engine. If I only think about journal publications, I see perhaps a better research rabbit. Have you tried it? For this particular literature network map, I added only a single article, the article of Hasun, and it identified 755 similar works, of which 50 are shown here in a network map. Research Rabbit is a discovery app that allows researchers to visualize papers, as you can see here, discover author networks, and create collections of papers. But there's also the bio-automated framework shown here, which automates the identification of predictive machine learning architectures for any set of nucleic acid, peptide, or glycan sequences. Bio-automated's repertoire of supervised machine learning include binary classification models, which divide data into two classes, multi-class classification models, which divide data into multiple classes, and regression models fitting continuous numerical values or measuring the strength of key relationships between variables. So this provides different ways of analyzing the data, leading to discovery. Hasun et al.'s second example is behavioral ecology. Suppose we would like to understand the relationship between fitness and environment for a particular species of bird, including the bird's social environment. This task would ideally draw upon data from a wide range of biological and spatial scales, such as vocalizations, social networks, movement, morphometrics, parasite loads, genetics, biomarkers, but also from different sources such as images, videos, audio recordings, tracking tags, DNA sequencers, etc. It is not possible to integrate all of these currently, given the wide scale and variety of data sources, but AI can help scientists do that. Predicting an organism's phenotype is difficult, so this is Hasun's third example, from genes to phenotypes. And again, that's because it requires integrating processes and information across multiple scales of biological organization, from molecules to an organism's environment. I remember I did fruit fly experiments in UP Diliman as a BS biology student, and I wonder how fruit fly experiments will change with AI. AI tools may allow the use of heterogeneous data such as DNA sequences, phylogenetic information, environmental and experimental data to explain phenotype. Hasun et al.'s last example, and considered the most difficult but certainly significant given the pandemic, is the prediction, evolution, and control of infectious diseases. Traditional modeling and computing techniques have difficulty adapting to change and handling heterogeneous data. Hopefully, AI tools can help infer critical disease parameters in real time to accurately forecast pandemic progression and improve policy decisions. These are only a few examples of how AI may and will change biology research. But what about biology instruction? AI is changing the landscape of higher education. I would like to share 3 items on my call to action for educators to navigate the use of artificial intelligence in higher education. First, we need to work toward AI literacy for everyone: the students, the educators, and the institutions of higher learning. Second, we need to advocate for inclusion and equitable access to artificial intelligence. Let us not widen the disparities which already exist in education. Lastly, let us continue to foster critical thinking, creativity, and interpersonal skills for ourselves, our students, and UP, as this is why institutions of higher learning exist. What is AI literacy? Here you see a suggested user perspective AI literacy framework by Hillier. It includes 5 elements: the ethical use of AI tools, a knowledge of AI affordances, working effectively with AI tools, evaluation of AI output, and use an integration of AI tools into practice. How can we teach our students these if we do not know these ourselves? How can we prepare the students for a world with AI? And this framework is a user perspective because we don't even reach the top of Bloom's taxonomy where we create. Nang et al. Have mapped AI literacy into Bloom's taxonomy. Know, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Create is at the apex of the pyramid, and this is what is missing in Hillier's framework, which focus on students as user of AI tools rather than designers or developers of AI applications. To create in the context of AI literacy is to be able to design, assemble, construct, build, and develop AI applications. Let's take the example of ChatGPT. At the bottom of the pyramid is knowing. What do we know of ChatGPT? It's an online chatbot that responds to prompts. It is called generative AI because it can generate responses on its own. After know is understand. Do we understand how ChatGPT works? ChatGPT is a chatbot running on GPT, Generative Pre-trained Transformer, which is a large language model or LLM. This figure shows an overview of the LLM training process. In the first phase, which is pre-training, the LLM can be trained on a mix of unlabeled data and proprietary data without human supervision. For ChatGPT, the training dataset consisted of text collected from multiple sources on the internet, including Wikipedia, some books, and other public web pages. Through the use of transformer architecture, GPT learned to predict the next word in an incomplete sentence and eventually even whole paragraphs. It is vital we let our students know that ChatGPT does not, in essence, know what it is saying. It doesn't know what it is saying. So, some people have called it a stochastic parrot, well, at least for now, which can stitch words together according to the likely combinations without any reference to meaning. And this is why, if you notice, ChatGPT can be verbose, talk in a weird way, or sometimes, or maybe more often, hallucinate references. The second phase is fine-tuning, where narrow data sets and human feedback are introduced as inputs to the base model. ChatGPT learned how to follow instructions. Through enforcement learning, it was rewarded points when humans found the responses desirable and given negative scores when the responses were undesirable. In the last phase, there is prompt-based learning where humans transform the model into an augmented model for specialized tasks. For example, ChatGPT can now converse. It is a chatbot. So when we interact with ChatGPT, when we talk with it, we are actually helping OpenAI fine-tune ChatGPT. After know and understand is apply. Can we execute, implement, use, and apply AI applications in different contexts? Are your students using ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude? Did we teach them how to use these tools effectively? Do we know how to use these tools ourselves? Can we analyze and evaluate using ChatGPT, Gemini, or Claude? The UNESCO actually has a quick start guide for the use of ChatGPT with several suggestions on how it can be used in higher education. One is to use ChatGPT as a Socratic opponent, where the AI acts as an opponent to develop an argument. Students enter prompts into ChatGPT following the structure of a debate. I use this prompt to ask ChatGPT for an example on how this can work. So I wrote, give an example as to how you can function as a Socratic opponent for a university-level biology course. It gave me an example of a dialogue between itself and a student, which I'm sharing in the next slides. The student says, I believe that evolution is driven solely by random mutations. ChatGPT replies, can you explain why you think mutations are the only driving force behind evolution? The student replies, well, mutations introduce genetic variation which natural selection acts upon to drive evolution. ChatGPT replies, "That's true. Mutations are indeed a source of genetic variation. However, can you think of any other factors besides mutations that might contribute to evolutionary change?" Pwede na po ba yun? What do you think of this Socratic dialogue? ChatGPT can also function as a possibility engine, generating alternative ways of expressing an idea using the regenerate response function. But you don't even need that function anymore because it will give you a lot of responses, as I found out. So instead of asking ChatGPT, I asked Claude 3 Sonnet on how it can function as a possibility engine for university students in biology. It listed 7 ways it can assist students: brainstorming research topics, analyzing scientific literature, designing experimental setups, interpreting and visualizing data, exploring alternative hypotheses, proposing interdisciplinary connections, and evaluating real-world applications. Can it really do all that? Well, we can only find out by trying it ourselves. So I tried asking Claude, suggest research topics using fruit flies for a university-level biology course. It gave me 10 topics and I list some of it here. Each topic had objectives. For example, for this first topic on the genetic basis of circadian rhythms, investigate the role of specific genes in regulating the fruit fly's internal clock and sleep-wake cycles. Explore the effects of environmental factors such as light or temperature on circadian rhythms using mutant strains. Papasa po ba yun? Collaboration coach. AI helps groups to research and solve problems together. Working in groups, students use ChatGPT to find out information to complete tasks and assignments. You can assign topics and ask students to critique ChatGPT's output. And it's a good opportunity to show the students that ChatGPT will hallucinate references and they need to check the references. Study buddy. AI helps the student reflect on the learning material. Students explain their current level of understanding to ChatGPT and ask for ways to help them study the material. Instead of asking ChatGPT, I asked Gemini, "Can you be my study buddy? Here's how I understand how mitochondria work. It's the powerhouse of the cell." It then proceeded to a more detailed discussion of the mitochondria. Each of the 4 items in the list here was explained by Gemini in 1 to 2 paragraphs. It was like reading a textbook. I also changed the prompt slightly by asking Gemini to ask me a question and assess my answer. Here's what it asked me. If a cell needs a lot of energy for a specific function like muscle contraction, how might mitochondria respond to meet this increased demand? I said quite simply, naku baka mapagalitan ako ng aking mga teachers sa BS Biology, the mitochondria generate more ATP. It then told me that my answer was good and then went into a more detailed explanation about mitochondria and ATP production. Dynamic assessor. Students interact with ChatGPT in a tutorial dialogue, then ask ChatGPT to produce a summary of their current state of knowledge to share with their teacher for assessment. I suppose if I were a student, I can ask it to keep asking me questions about mitochondria, and I can share that dialogue with my professor. But what if students go beyond these possible uses and actually turn in ChatGPT responses as their own work? There's a lot of discussion now on the use of AI-generated content detectors. Turnitin already has this functionality. However, we must consider the possibility of harm to the student if work is incorrectly flagged as containing AI-generated content, as the technology is far from perfect. I agree with the suggestion to move from a defensive, security-focused approach to more creative alternative assessments such as group projects, multimedia work products, presentations, and oral exams. But we've been doing this even before ChatGPT. But we must also discuss the conundrum of limiting student use of ChatGPT when teachers already use it to make questions or even draft their syllabus. I found a paper on the use of ChatGPT to write biology multiple choice questions for higher education. Nasution directed ChatGPT to write 21 questions, 3 questions each for the cell, biodiversity, genetics, biotech, ecology, evolution, change, and growth. The prompt used was, write me a multiple choice question with 1 correct answer option and 4 wrong answer options about, and then insert the topic. So for example, biodiversity for bachelor's degree, and tag the correct answer. What's interesting is that Nasution didn't stop there. She also assessed validity, reliability, level of difficulty, and discrimination power. Of the 20 questions, 20 were valid. The set of questions was fairly reliable. Most were easy and medium questions. Most had adequate and good discrimination power. So hey, not bad for ChatGPT. Furthermore, Nasution randomly selected 272 students to answer the multiple choice questions and then answer a survey questionnaire. Is the question relevant to the course? Clarity. Is the text easy to understand, well-structured, logically organized? Does it use appropriate language and vocabulary for the intended audience? Accuracy. Are the questions correct? There are no incorrect questions or incorrect answer keys. Precision. Is the question sufficiently explicit and detailed? Depth. Is the question not too simple to work on? And as you can see, the students gave a favorable rating to the ChatGPT generated questions, ranging from 71 to 79%. Pwede na? But using ChatGPT to generate multiple choice questions is only one component under assessment and evaluation in the overall typology of AI applications in higher education that we see here. For profiling and prediction, universities may be interested in AI tools for admission decisions, course scheduling, dropout and retention, student models, and academic achievement. And educators can leverage AI tools for intelligent tutoring systems which can teach course content, diagnose strengths, and give automated feedback, curate learning materials, and facilitate collaboration. I would be interested in automated grading and feedback, and more so with adaptive systems and personalization of learning. And so what emerges is 3 paradigms for the use of AI in higher education. In the earlier work of intelligent tutoring systems, the learner is a recipient of AI direction, which determines the student's learning path. Paradigm 2 is where the learner collaborates with AI in exploratory learning environments or dialogue-based tutoring systems. Paradigm 3 is where the learner leads and there is human-computer cooperation, leading to personalized and adaptive learning. So AI is seen as empowering the learner. Now, each of these paradigms will have challenges. In the AI-directed paradigm, how much and what kind of information about a learner is required in order for the AI to direct the student along a specific learning path? In the AI-supported paradigm, learner information is not static and can change dynamically during the learning process. Hence, the challenge here is to what extent and how is learner information integrated into the AI system to enable collaboration. Lastly, where AI is seen as empowering for the student who is a self-directed learner, the learning process becomes even more complex. And the challenge is to how to address this in different educational contexts. I hope that for item 1, I have adequately described AI literacy, the AI literacy we are working toward for our students, ourselves, and our institutions. As teachers, where are we in the Bloom's taxonomy in using AI for higher education? The second item in the call to action is to advocate for inclusion and equitable access to AI. Right now, ChatGPT 3.5 is free. But if you want the ChatGPT 4.0 or the latest Claude iteration, that's $20 a month. Not everyone can pay, so this introduces disparities. Titerle et al. Warned about the 5 divides and the cyclical effects of using AI in education. It starts with the access divide, as I have alluded to, with a subscription model for ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude. Then the representation divide, where there is both statistical and social bias in the data sets used to train the algorithm. Those without access cannot contribute to the data sets. Thus, the access and representation divides fuel the algorithmic divide, when the algorithms that inform teaching and learning may not fully represent the learners they are designed to educate. The interpretation divide occurs when learners and educators misinterpret the output of algorithms or rely on faulty algorithmic outputs for decision making. That's likely to happen when we as educators do not actually receive training on how to use these AI tools. Over time, this leads to the citizenship divide that can perpetuate structural stigmas. And so we must be intentional with the AI tools we use in education. As Titerle warns us, doing things better is a useful objective, but the more important aspect of AI-based analytics is the ways they can enable doing better things. We should keep that in mind. Lastly, we must keep humans in the loop when we use AI. Only then can we continue to foster critical thinking, creativity, and interpersonal skills. For better or for worse, ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, and many more will see continuing use in higher education. The fear is that students will use these and complete assignments effortlessly but sacrificing understanding. How will these tools become incorporated in higher education? Is the use of AI in higher education inevitable? Because if so, we are no longer asking if, but how. In this journal article on the use of generative AI for chemistry educators, it ends with 6 questions that I think all of us educators need to answer. Knowing that we have ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, should instructors continue to assess students based on the clarity and formatting of descriptive assignments such as lab reports, research papers, literature review? On the other hand, these tools may be of help to our students who are not native English speakers. How should instructors incorporate AI tools to help students develop their critical thinking and problem-solving skills? In medicine, we worry about automation complacency when an AI's predictions are given more weight than they deserve, as it is seen as infallible or confirming initial assumptions. Should AI-generated text be allowed in scientific publications? And I don't know if you saw this, but as of March 16, this journal article has not yet been retracted. It is still available online. The authors are Chinese, and I presume they needed help with their English. So look at the first sentence of the introduction. Let me read it for you. Certainly, here is a possible introduction for your topic. Lithium metal batteries are promising candidates, blah, blah, blah. Sounds familiar? Yeah, it's as if they asked ChatGPT for an introduction. It looks like a copy-paste from ChatGPT. Even more difficult questions. If AI science becomes the norm, who should be credited for scientific discoveries? For professional activities, for example, writing a recommendation letter for a student, is there a difference between finding a template online or asking AI to generate the text that already serves as a template? When currently free AI systems start charging for the service, well, right now they already are, but we still have some free service. What kinds of equity and accessibility concerns will we need to consider from faculty and students' perspective? Should we already be asking UP to pay for a subscription to ChatGPT? When AI can do things for us, the question naturally arises, who should do what? Where is the line separating acceptable from unacceptable? Liara Lan and Lee offer the sand heap paradox to think this through. When does a sand heap become a non-heap as you remove grains of sand one by one? When there is only 1 grain of sand left, it is no longer a heap, certainly. But where did the transition occur? Word processors already have spelling and grammar checkers. When does the use of generative AI like ChatGPT in a word processor become academically unacceptable? Is the line when it suggests rephrasing a sentence, or when it edits your paragraph for you, when it outlines the report, when it can write the syllabus, when it can make our exams? Or Rieralan and E asks, will this go the way of the art and crafts movement which arose after industrialization? Just as we no longer know how to sew our clothes and wear mass-produced clothing with no problems, might we reach a point where not knowing how to write our own essays will not bother us? Well, this bothered me. We've been discussing ChatGPT, but there's also LMMs, or large multimodal models, which can generate images or video. Midjourney is a popular generative AI tool for images. And in this particular publication, In the Frontiers of Cell and Developmental Biology, a retraction was made due to the AI-generated images included. In this illustration, that organ is almost double the size of the rat. And the text labels in the figure were garbled gibberish. It is unclear how this passed peer review, though one reviewer said he only evaluated the content of the paper and not the images, while the publisher said it was the author's responsibility to check any AI-generated content. So this is unacceptable, but how can we stop this from happening again? I don't think we can ban generative AI in higher education. If we are to believe Hasun et al., the expectation is that AI will revolutionize biology in the 21st century, much like statistics transformed biology in the 20th century. But as I have discussed with you, the difficulties are many. But as educators, we cannot turn away from the challenges. Thank you for inviting me to discuss this. We need to talk about AI more in higher education. Thank you. I would like to
Thank you very much, Professor Tan, and congratulations for that wonderful and thought-provoking thought. By the way, Dr. Isip Tan has graciously offered to share his slides in SlideShare, of which the link is indicated in the chat box. So feel free to browse through, backread our chat box where Dr. Isip Tan has indicated the link. So we will now start with the open forum, and I would like to call Assistant Professor Romela R. Berenguela to serve as moderator for the open forum. Take it away, Prof. Berenguela.
Hello, good morning. Thank you very much, Professor Isip Tan. We really had a very engaging and very informative discussion about AI. We can see here we have a lot of participants and we have a very diverse audience gathered here today. And I would like to encourage everyone, if you have questions, please feel free to type in your question either in the chat box or in our Q&A. We just have one question just came in. Can we depend on the references from ChatGPT for writing manuscripts?
The answer is definitely not. It hallucinates references, and even the company OpenAI has said so. It's a conversational agent. What it does is talk to you. So if you ask for references, it will give you references because that's what it's trained to do. So the references will look authentic, but when you actually check and search the references, they may not be there in reality. So I was so impressed because, for example, it will have its own DOI, and yet when you run it, it will say that that doesn't exist. I have an anecdote from Twitter. We had a researcher who was like the leading researcher in polycystic ovary syndrome. And so she was supposed to be updating the latest guideline for polycystic ovary. So she said, let's try out ChatGPT. So she asked ChatGPT, can you give me the latest literature from this year to this year? Because, you know when the last update was. And then it gave her references. And it gave her references that were authored by her. Her name is on it because she's the leading researcher. So I think the database of ChatGPT knows that this person is the leading researcher, but all the references given that were supposedly written by her do not exist. And she should know that because that's her. So that was really funny, but also scary at the same time.
Okay, thank you very much for that answer. I hope it give us an idea that we really cannot fully rely on AI. We can use it as a conversational agent, right? You've mentioned before that we really have a good use of AI in teaching. And it's especially challenging for instructors like us, how we can limit or how we can, what's the full extent of how can we allow students on using AI. So, for example, you've mentioned that we can use collaborative work, we can use creative works as other types of assessment, but we have already been using it. Can you give us a specific example on how we can really limit on at what level can the students use AI in their work?
Okay, so that actually starts from including in our syllabus a statement about our AI policy for our course. So I have had professors who actually write in their syllabus, no AI is allowed in this course. So it's very explicit. Some will say, I will allow AI, but only in the following instances. You may, for example, use it to outline your report. You may use it as an editor if you think that you are not a good speaker of English and you would like, for example, to make sure your report is, grammatically correct and sounds nice. But I have also encountered a professor who says anytime you use AI, you have to declare you have used it, and then you need to append the screenshot of your interaction with ChatGPT as a requirement. Okay, so what does that do? Well, it lets the student know that you are okay with the use of the tool, but then they have to be accountable for how they use it, and they should be able to give you proof of how it was. So like maybe you can see like how different is the paragraph after it has been edited by ChatGPT, or if the outline has been declared as being generated by ChatGPT, you can at least get a screenshot. But then we require that the students actually flesh out the outline rather than having ChatGPT write everything. So of course it's a matter of integrity. And then but most of the educators that I have listened to, they tell me we must need to first trust the students. If we are always like suspicious of them, they will learn to actually hide it from us. So it's really hard. But di ba parang sometimes we say, the kids are all right. We brought them up well. So it really depends on our relationship with them as well. Um, I have read some articles where it says, in the future, maybe universities will be more of pastoral care. Because if we have AI all around us, parang where are the kids gonna get, support, human support? And right now, we even have mental health problems already. So I think it's really having an honest conversation about what AI can do and what it cannot do. So for example, I have let my medical students use it, and some of them will say, oh, it's not good because I asked it to diagnose and it was wrong, or it didn't get it right, or I put in the case and then it gave an answer different from my professor. So I still believe in my professor. So it's really like testing the limits, because when you show them that it's not as good as it looks or it sounds, then they become more aware of how to use the tool properly.
Thank you very much. So I hope the instructors and professors, FICs here in the Zoom would really encourage students to use AI, but having the ethical considerations on what to allow and what not to allow. And we have questions here. Wait, let me just check. Okay. We have discussed a lot about AI in instruction, higher education. Can you give us some specific example on how AI have contributed in terms of biological research?
I was afraid you were gonna ask me that. But so the first part of the lecture was my attempt to actually show you what is possible. I have not really studied that bioframe
Automated.
that automated bioframe. But I guess that's where it's going to go. I'm sorry I couldn't give you more concrete
It's okay. I'm
examples.
just wondering if you have a personal experience or research work on it.
I do have a work on AI, but it has more to do with, for example, diabetes because I'm an
Oh.
endocrinologist. One dream I have is to actually have a Filipino chatbot for diabetes self-management. ChatGPT can actually talk in Filipino already, but we need to, for example, augment that kind of database by making sure that it is giving us correct answers if a Filipino patient were to interact with ChatGPT.
Thank you very much. Are there any more questions? Wait, let me check if we have. This is not a question, but more of a comment. I would just like to read this one. But it's visible to everyone, so yeah. So hopefully there will be a venue for us to share our best practices about AI in biology and life sciences, and something we could start even in the university, even our state universities and other HEIs. And we have a question here from our Masters of Ceremony, Sir Philip Albiola. Let me read it. Are there relevant legislation or policies that regulate or enable the use of AI in teaching?
I know that there are several artificial intelligence bills that are in the House and in the Senate. I have not seen them come out yet, but I think they're trying to establish a regulatory agency to look into it. So, for example, for medicine, we're very concerned that patients will no longer go to doctors and just talk to ChatGPT, and we don't know exactly how safe that is. And if we're going to deploy AI tools, be it for research in biology, in your case, or in my case, as a tool for patients, how do we know it's actually safe? So there needs to be an AI regulating body, and that's what is in the Senate and in the House bills. But I haven't seen it come out yet, and it's not specific for teaching.
But it is in the works, right?
Yes.
Yes, it's okay. That's good to know. So we've been talking about AI, but how can our academic institution offer support to the development and deployment of AI technologies? Do you have any ideas on
Yeah,
that?
so I think this is a start that we actually have webinars like this so we can discuss it. I mean, my presentation was how I viewed the topic, but I'm sure if we were to have an open forum with a panel discussion, I mean, different faculty will have different viewpoints along a spectrum. And so hearing others talk about their experiences with AI, as was suggested in one of the comments, would be nice. The UP system actually released, I think last year, an AI policy principles, okay, for education. And then I think the UPOU earlier this year already had a memorandum on how to write in your syllabus, whether you're allowing AI or not and to what extent. But the thing is, for example, if you ask me, I will write that I will allow AI to some extent. That means I already know what extent that is, which means I have to try the tool myself so I can see what I will allow and what I will not. Now, since not all of us can do that, maybe it will be useful, as you have said, for us to talk about it, maybe like as a department, as a college, and then just come out with, okay, what will we allow and what will we not allow?
Ma'am Ella, academician Raimundo raised her hand. Maybe you want to recognize her.
Yes, Academician Raimundo, you may speak. You may ask your question. Thank you.
Bertan, how are you? Anyway, if I was thinking, especially those faculty members belong to the so-called older generation, 50s to 60s, and they are not very aware of, they're not knowledgeable about AI, and they forbid their students to use AI. Wouldn't the students complain about infringing on the rights to use whatever methods they need to learn? What do you think?
So that's certainly a tricky question, ma'am. But if you ask me, I will say my class, my rules. There is actually, I didn't share it today, but in the UNESCO document, there is actually an algorithm that says, can I use ChatGPT or not? And then it says, can you check everything that ChatGPT outputs to you? Do you have the knowledge, the domain knowledge to actually check? Because if you do not have that, then you're not allowed to use it. So that gets negotiated, I suppose, in your class. And so that's why I think in the end we cannot totally ban. But how far, to what extent will we allow is something that we need to work on for our students. Because if you just totally ban, I think they will still use it and just not tell us.
That's
So
right.
I would rather that we, set the tone and say, I know that you want to use, but if you're going to use it, these are the allowable limits. And these are the reasons why these are the allowable limits.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any more questions? Let's take advantage of Prof. Isip Tan being here. If you're curious of any question about AI, biological research and instruction, please feel free to raise your questions. I will be accommodating maybe one or two more questions. Are there any more questions? Let's see. We're also live in YouTube, so let me check if we have questions in YouTube as well. We're clear in YouTube.
Well, if nobody wants to say, I will share my experience with AI.
Yes.
In our functions in NAST, we are asked to deliver sort of several speeches, and we asked our assistants to do it. And we have to be sure that when they give us a script, we have to read it and re-edit it because they're all AIs, and they use this same set of phrases. And so if the opening remarks done by AI, and then you give a special message, you might be repeating the same thing because it's generated by AI. It's powerful, but indeed you really have to edit and make sure that you insert your personal feelings about the message and all that. Just sharing.
That is true, ma'am. And that has been noted also in our medical congresses, that sometimes the opening remarks begin to sound very similar to each other. And that's why we always talk about human in the loop AI. I mean, this is the way I talk, the way I write. Maybe it's not the most elegant use of English, but will I let ChatGPT correct my speech so it sounds better? But then in the end, it doesn't sound like me. So in the end, we really have to sort of say, where is the line?
Yeah, right. It's
Okay.
powerful, but you have to be careful.
Yeah. Again, thank you very much. So I think that would be the last question for our session for today.
Ma'am Ella,
Yeah.
pwede po bang humabol ulit?
Ay,
Isa pang
sure.
question. I'm so sorry. Ayun.
Sure, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there's already a UP directive or parang utos na sa UP system about AI and the use sa teaching and research, ma'am.
So all I know is what's already in the chat. Somebody shared the University of the Philippines principles for responsible and trustworthy AI. And so there are principles there. And I just click on it now to make sure I'm saying it correctly. So the principles are common good, empowerment, cultural sensitivity, privacy, accountability. And then for research and development, meaningful human control, transparency, fairness, safety, environment friendly. And then for education, it also says primacy of learning goals, human capital development, capacity building, education management and delivery, and collaboration. So we have all applauded that there is this, statement from the UP, but in our own classes or in our own courses, we need to sort of apply these principles. And I think that's where the challenge is.
Okay, that's it. Thank you very much. So I hope with the discussion or lecture earlier and the question and answer portion this morning, we were able to have a glimpse of how we can use AI in higher education, our instruction, and in our research as well. So thank you very much, Professor Isip Tan. I will hand you over to our MC again, Sir Philip. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Ella, and thank you very much, Dr. Isip Tan, for that great discussion. No, very engaging discussion. So everyone, let us congratulate our speaker for a splendid presentation, and of course, the way she managed the question and answer portion. Okay. So to show our gratitude for your talk, let me present this electronic certificate of appreciation. So the certificate of appreciation is rewarded to Prof. Iris Kiel Isiptan for serving as resource person during the 41st anniversary celebration of the Institute of Biological Sciences webinar entitled Artificial Intelligence in Biological Research and Instruction, given this 18th day of March 2024, signed Vachel Gay V. Pallier, Director of IBS. So again, let us all give our speaker a virtual round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So, for our photo documentation, I would like to ask our resource person, our director, and deputy director and moderator to kindly open their video. This is for the photo documentation po. Ma'am Ella, Sir Walter, direct, would it be possible? Ay, ma'am. Wala po yata sila, no? Naka-ano
Ay,
po
andito
yata.
po ako.
Yan pa.
Laura, yeah.
Pa-open na lang po ng video po.
Okay, naka-open na po.
Okay. Yun. Yun po. So we'll take our cue from our tech team. So for the photo, okay na po ba? Okay. So bilang na lang po ako. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, isa pa po. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay. Maraming salamat po. So before we end our program, so I would like to call on our Deputy Director, Dr. Walter S. Lavinia, for the closing remarks. Sir Walter.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. So we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed speaker, Professor Iris T.L. Isitan, for enlightening us with her expertise on the utilization or the use of AI in biological research and instruction. The significance of this topic cannot be overstated, as AI holds transformative potential, but requires careful consideration and caution in its application. Also, a sincere appreciation goes to the diligent efforts of the IBS research and extension committees under the leadership of Dr. Philip Alviola and Ma'am Marnelli Alviola, along with their dedicated members for their invaluable contributions in organizing this event. Thank you very much.
Okay. Maraming salamat po, Deputy Walter. So, and then again, we'd like to thank Dr. Isip Tan for providing us with that very insightful, very timely talk. So, before we end the webinar, let me give out a few reminders. Please evaluate the seminar to get a certificate of participation. I know many of you are asking in the chat box for the certification. So the link is flashed on the screen and copied in the chat box of Zoom as well. So just click on the link provided so you can evaluate after the webinar. So responses will be accepted until 1 p.m. only. So very narrow window, no? So so please make sure you log out of Zoom for security purposes. So we now formally end our webinar. Again, thank you very much, Dr. Isip Tan, and to all the members of the IBS research team. So keep safe, everyone, and thank you and goodbye.
Philip, there
Yes,
are
ma'am.
people here requesting for photo op for
Meron po ba?
Opo.
Kasi we had prior agreement that no, for to save bandwidth.
Ay,
space.
okay.
Opo.
Is that so?
Yes, ma'am. Itanong ko yung aming tech team.
It's okay. It's okay, Philip.
Gallery shot na lang po siguro. Naka-spotlight kasi kami. Kami lang nakikita.
Oo nga. Sige po, pwede. Siguro, so we'd like to request all the attendees to open their video, yeah, their camera for a group photo.
Ah.
Sige pa, patanggal na lang yung spotlight
Ayan.
natin.
Okay.
Oo. Sige. So, I'm going to give the cue. I think so. Sige, smile tayo. 1, 2, 3. Okay, smile. And then another one. Sige po. Alright. Okay, sige. Okay na po ba? So, again, maraming salamat sa pag-attend. So, this is just one of the many events, no, activities for the IBS 41st anniversary celebration. Again, thank you very much, Dr. Isip Tan, for allowing your expertise, no, to be presented here in the UPLB IBS constituency. So, and I would also like to extend my heartfelt appreciation for all the attendees, to took their time to watch the webinar. So maraming salamat po and have a great week ahead. Maraming Monday pa lang, maraming ng trabaho. All right.
Bye po.
Thank you, Dr.
Salamat.
Tan.
Salamat
Really
po.
appreciate.
Okay, so leave. Leave ba tayo? Pwede na, mag-leave.
And